ahead. Good evening. We're calling to order the City Council meeting, special meeting for Monday, December 1st, 2014. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Edgar.
Here.
Councilmember Gross.
Here.
Councilmember Kusamoto.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Murphy.
Here.
Mayor Graham Mejia.
Here. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to special orders of the day. Item number 3A, interview applicants for commissions. We have first up for Cable Commission, Steve Clayton. Is Steve here? Steve, come on up.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
We'd like to, before we get started with the questions, offer you an opportunity to make an opening statement. Are you interested, or you want to get right on to the questions?
You know, I was going to, but no, I'll just go ahead and answer the question.
Okay, great, perfect. In the interest of time,
In the
right?
interest of time, I was just going to say that, yes.
All right, great. So why don't we start, Dean, will you take question number 1, and then we'll go down the council?
Sure. Hi, Steve.
Hey,
What special traits, characteristics, or experience do you bring to the Cable TV Commission?
well, I worked at Long Beach City College for 26 years, heading up their media services department and their cable operation for Long Beach Cable. And I also served on the Long Beach Cable Commission for about 12 years, most of those chairing it. I was also on the original LATV board for about 10 years, most of those chairing it. And I've been a longtime producer, and I think most of you know me, except for Mr. Murphy. How are you? Yeah, so I've been involved in cable for pretty much my whole life.
Great, thank you. Warren?
Why do you want to serve on the Cable TV Commission?
I don't know. I really don't know.
That is a great answer,
You know what, I'm being
actually.
honest with
Points
you.
for that one. 2 points for that one there.
Normally, in situations like this, if I have a really bad feeling about something, it usually tells me, and then I just run. Say, no, I don't. And this has been a real interesting situation. Let's just go with that. But I haven't had that feeling to run yet, but it's close. Really, because I know how much of a resource, a valuable resource, this can be. I mean, I've watched cable stations develop, and not only in Long Beach and Lakewood, which were really big, but also in Seal Beach here and Los Alamitos. And done right, I know how this can be an awesome resource for the city. So that's probably the reason I want to. And plus, after the original board disbanded, I watched for years as the city council tried to make it go, and just it was hard to watch. And I had to keep watching it, and finally, I forget who the station manager was at that time, or not station manager, the city manager, but I was in contact with him, and he asked me if I'd come back, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll come back, because they really needed some direction. They need somebody that knew what was going on, how to do it. And so I came back and just trying to help.
Thank you.
See what that gets you? Okay, moving on to question number 3. What do you think is or are the most significant issues facing the Cable Commission?
Well, the obvious ones are, the lack of funding and the different rules and regulations that the cable companies have come up with. But specifically for Los Alamitos, I hate to say this, but politics have seemed to be the biggest issue for LATV. I'm kind of in the middle, and I don't really have a political stand one way or the other, but I have just watched this thing erode, and I've watched some of the best players involved in cable TV in Los Alamitos just get tired and go away. And this valuable resource, even if you had funding for it and were able to hire managers and things, you still need good, motivated people from the community to really make it a special resource. And those people are almost all gone. So I want to try and save that and just do whatever I can if the city wants to do that.
Great, we appreciate it. Richard?
Well, bring us to the next question. Really, what do you feel is the role of the Cable Commission going forward?
Boy, that's a hard one, because it depends on what it actually looks like and what the city council would like to see it do. Mostly it would be an advisory group, but in this case, it really needs to be a group that can give it direction, that can actually manage it. And really, in order to do that, you have to have people on there that actually know how to do that. I know that's a tough thing to do, but you can see that it's really, stumbled for a long, long time because it's lacked that, and it really needs that. So the role, I think the role should be, what it really needs to be is a commission that can actually be hands-on and run it, because you don't have the funding to hire people to do that. But as an advisory group, you can just kind of look at the numbers and look at it and say, well, yeah, let's do this or this. But unless you actually know, you're just shooting in the dark.
Thank you.
Hi, Steve. When considering the actions by the Cable Television Commission, how do you balance the best interests of the entire community against the likes and dislikes of yourself, your friends, and your neighbors?
That's a weird question. Pretty much, you develop a master plan and a direction for what you want the station to do and where you want it to go, and everything that happens in the process of that should be to that end. So those factors shouldn't play into it. There shouldn't be any favoritism one way or the other. I mean, it's kind of an odd question for me, but so I don't exactly know how to answer it other than you do what's best for the station and what's best for the city, and you make sure that whatever your goal is, that everything you do is helping to achieve what that goal is. So, and there's generally, I don't want to say rules and regulations, but procedures in place that say what you should do or what you shouldn't do. But I think it's pretty obvious, you know, you're leaning one way or the other, so you should do whatever keeps you on goal.
Great.
Thank you. Do you have any closing comments?
I'll just leave it like that.
All right, great. Thanks for coming tonight,
Thank you.
Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Elliot Singer. Hi, Elliot. Now, Elliot, it looks like you've applied for two. Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I think the Cable Commission is what
Your
I would
first
like to
preference.
apply for.
Great, thank you so much. So we'll go ahead and start the same. Did you have any beginning statement that you'd like to read?
No.
Okay, great. Dean, would you start with question number 1?
Good evening. Hello. Thanks for applying, and thanks for looking at the Cable Commission. What special traits, characteristics, or experience do you bring to the Cable TV Commission?
I think the same kinds of things that I tried to apply with Parks and Rec, and that is kind of a reasoned or scientific, if you will, basis to a program that is in need of a more focused approach, I think.
Thank you.
Good evening, Elliot.
Hi.
Why do you want to serve on the Cable TV and Parks and Rec Cultural Arts Commission? I guess it's a dual question here.
I think it needs to be perceived in the same, the Cable Commission and TV3 need to be perceived in the same high-quality standards that are expected of any other city function. And I would like to be a part of that process.
Thank you.
Okay, number 3. What do you think the issues or most significant, what do you think is or are the most significant issues facing the Cable Television and Cultural Arts Commission today? You can take that in two spaces if you want.
Well, I just have a couple, just two short items, and one is there's no clearly defined roles and expectations that I've been able to discern over the past couple of years. And the other challenge is probably not that the commission or the TV3 has not been keeping current with available technologies.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Since you had a preference for cable, let me just ask you, what is the role of the Cable Commission?
To reflect the diversity that is and will be Los Alamitos,
Okay,
but pure and simple.
thank you.
Hi, Elliot. When considering the actions by the Cable Television and Parks and Recreation Cultural Commission, how do you balance the best interests of the entire community against the likes, dislikes of yourself and your neighbors?
I don't think that we're all really that different from each other, and I guess the checks and balances of the commission versus the city council probably should account for taking everybody's point of view into context.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Any closing comments?
No,
All right, well, thank you again for coming tonight.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Alice Jemsa. City Manager, can I get a clarification? The student representative is a non-voting member, so that would actually be a sixth person as opposed to a third, is that correct?
Yes,
Or
that's
fifth,
the
I'm-
sixth one.
Welcome, Alice. Do you have any opening statement for us tonight?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you have any opening statement you'd like to read for the
Well,
council?
I have applied for 2 commissions,
Okay.
and I really feel that the Parks and Recreation Commission is the one where I could best
Okay.
serve the city.
Okay, great.
So I won't talk about cable, although I'm very interested in it and feel it's a very worthwhile thing for our city. But maybe I should just sit down and wait till Parks and Recreation is...
No, that's okay, we can do it, and what we'll do is then you'd prefer we ask you questions pointed for Parks and Rec as opposed to cable?
Yep.
Because we
Yeah.
already know you're qualified on the cable, so.
All right. Thank you.
All right, so Dean, can we go ahead and start with the first question?
Sure. Hi, Alice, thanks for coming in. What special traits, characteristics, or experience, I kind of feel hard asking this, as long as you've been in the
Well,
community.
for many
Experience
years-
you bring Parks and Recreation.
Many years, it was the Fine Arts and Cultural Affairs
Absolutely.
Commission. And I was on that for many years, and I feel that I learned a great deal about how cities have to be run, and some of the things that are kind of behind the scenes that have to be justified. And most of the general public has no idea about this. Now, I'm going to give you one example that I was very involved with one of the years when I was mayor. And there was no fence along Bloomfield and the middle school. And of course, kids were busy playing soccer or something, and a ball get out in the street, and it was a scary situation. So I thought, I'm going to see what we can do to get some fencing along there. Well, I had no idea what it was going to take to do that, but obviously, we did do it, because we had to deal with the school district, and we had to find some money, because that's not an inexpensive project to have fencing along there. We had to deal with the guidelines for the roads and the major streets, and we had to deal with 2 schools, really, because of the elementary school at the other end. Now, the fence didn't go down that far, but nevertheless, there were, they felt, things that would impact. And another thing that I bet none of you even guessed about was the fact that the railroad track went through there. So it wasn't active, but it all had to be dealt with. And it was a very slow process. And we'd take 2 steps ahead and then find we were pushed back a step, but we kept at it until we finally got it done. And I don't worry about some youngster getting killed by playing on that field anymore. And believe me, that field is used. You look at it on a Saturday morning and you know that's important. So this is kind of a general thing. Now, I found as we worked with different projects for the Parks and Recreation Department, we had so many things that we had no awareness of, and that we had to deal with certain regulations and guidelines, and also where the funding could come from for these things. And I thought it was a wonderful experience all those years to, if the parks wanted to do something, what were the guidelines that we had to follow? Why didn't they take out these trees and expand the parking? Why did they do this or this or this? There was a good reason for every one of them. And you have to know how to look at those and deal with them. And the bottom line is, what is in the best interest for the people who live here and work here? Now, one of the things they wanted to put through was a bicycle lane on Farquhar. And that didn't go through. But knowing how busy Farquhar is, I think I'm very happy that it didn't go through, because there are too many accidents with bicyclists today anyway. And that I don't want to have on my conscience.
Thank
Do
you.
you have
Gretchen.
questions?
Thank you very much.
Hi, Alice.
Hi.
Why do you want to serve on the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Commission?
Well, because I feel that's where I can provide a real educated and knowledgeable service to the city. And I love the city. I've lived here since my house was built in 1966, and I have no desire to go anyplace else.
Thank you.
And I think it's a wonderful place to raise a family, to have, the school district we've got here is outstanding, there's no question about that, and I'm kind of partial to school districts, as you well know. So as long as we can have a good city here and have it a fine place for people to live, I'll do everything I can to help preserve that and improve it for the future.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
What do you think is the most significant issue facing the Parks, Rec, and Cultural Arts Commission?
Well, right now, I think with the current situation, it's what we're going to do with the fireworks situation in the future, and, because that's a once-a-year thing. But there are many other things that we have to deal with on an everyday basis. Now, where are the good fields for Little League? Where are the other places where we can best accommodate our youngsters and our adults in these recreational activities that are very important to our city? And they do very positive things for our residents.
Thank you very
And
much.
it isn't just out in those fields either. Some of the things that have over in this recreation department, the senior meals program, I volunteer there because I believe in it so strongly. And there are other activities there, the activities for the children. Better to have them supervised and out on the streets after school where they could possibly get into mischief or be hurt.
Right. Thank you very much. Richard?
Thank you for all your service. What do you feel is the role of the Parks Commission?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What do you feel is the role of the Parks Commission in Los Alamitos?
I still didn't hear you, sir.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Maybe your mic is on.
Yeah, I need your mic.
Doug, okay. What do you feel is the role of the Parks Commission in Los Alamitos?
To provide good recreational activities that benefit and enhance the life of the people who live here and the people who come to work here. And this is what Parks and Rec is about, is to improve and enhance the life of the individual.
Thank you.
That's very
Alice.
general, but it really sums it up.
Again, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
When considering the actions of the Parks and Recreation Commission and trying to balance the best interests of the entire community, how do you put those in balance?
Well, I try to look at the history, what we've done in the past and how that's worked, and I listen to the people. If we can do some surveys and ask them what they feel would be worthwhile to them. And of course, so many years ago, I was great at walking neighborhoods, ringing doorbells, and asking people, what do you think? What do you feel? Are you happy with this? How could it be improved? Or should it be changed in other ways? And I think we've got to listen to the people, because what's good in your neighborhood might not mean much in mine, because we've got the base there. And that really has a lot to do with the quality of life with the people who live around it.
Great.
And another neighborhood, they may have issues that I'm not aware of, and I want to know about those. So I always have my phone, I leave a note on their doorstep. I was here, I wanted to talk to you. This is my phone number. If you have a question or concern, call me, and I'm ready to listen.
Great. Thank you.
Great. Do you have any closing statement, Alice, for us for tonight?
Well, I think I've probably said more than I have to,
Well,
but it's all from the heart.
absolutely, and I'll tell you, when I campaigned, that was one thing that I heard was Alice was known in all of the neighborhoods because you did do all that walking, so
Oh,
good for
yes,
you.
I did.
Good for you. Thank you for coming.
Well, I enjoyed being here. Thank you for taking the time and making the effort to really find out what people think and feel and want before they are appointed. That is so important.
Thank you, Alice. All right. Reed Ellison. Welcome, Reed.
Thank you.
So very excited that you're interested in this commission. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and give you the opportunity. Do you have an opening statement?
I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity.
Great, thank you for being here. Dean, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Good. Thanks for coming in, Reed.
Thank you.
I look forward to having a young person's perspective. What special traits, characteristics, or experience do you bring to the Cable TV Commission?
I believe I will bring hardworking and diligence, and the experience I've had in my short life, but from church VBS and going on a mission trip, and just what I can from working as a group project for a main goal.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Reed. Thank you for being here. So, why do you want to serve on the Cable TV Commission?
I would like to serve to help just give back to my community that just has good school system and is safe and is just in my opinion, a very good community.
Thank you very much.
Great answers. Okay, moving on to number 3. What do you think is the most significant issue facing the Cable Commission?
In my opinion, the most significant issue is for the fact that it is, in my opinion, it seems like it is difficult to bring more community members into watching the cable and like getting into community events and just like kind of for different groups such as like the youth.
Great, thank you so much. Richard?
Okay, what do you feel is a role of the Cable Commission? And maybe you could answer from the perspective of getting more people, your peers, involved. People,
Sorry, I feel the role is to help just get our community and enhance it through getting more groups together for the public events and fundraising, and just to try and enhance the community and just working as a group.
Thank you.
Good evening. When considering the actions of the Cable Commission, how do you balance the best interests of the entire community against the likes or dislikes of yourself, your friends, or your neighbors?
I will try to come in with an open mind and realize that, as only being 16 years old, that I should listen first and realize that I only represent or know a small group of this large community, and just try and realize that I should listen before I speak.
I think you need to come home and speak.
I was just
Good-
going to
good
ask the
answer.
same thing. That was very wise.
Like
Do you
that.
have any closing comments?
No, I just wanted to again just say thank you for this opportunity to get involved in the community.
We're very pleased that you're here, and good for your mom for making sure that you made it tonight. Thanks very much. All right, so now we'll go ahead and move on to Parks and Rec. Michael Bell. Welcome, Michael. Do you have any opening comments for us tonight?
I don't.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead and we'll get started. Dean?
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you coming in and being a new resident to bring your experience from your prior residency to us. What special traits, characteristics, or experience do you bring to the Park and Recreation and Cultural Arts Commission?
I have more than 40 years' experience in the fine arts and 10 years with municipal government. I was a high school art student. I'm a graduate of California Institute of the Arts in Valencia. I was an art museum curator for nearly 20 years. I have prior service on numerous art-related boards of directors. I'm a father of 4 with 5 granddaughters, and have a 3rd grader at Rossmore Elementary, who is very active in Friday Night Lights football and attends summer kids camp here. I'm a Vietnam-era Air Force veteran.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. I have direct experience with the San Francisco Arts Commission's 7 multicultural neighborhood art centers, Art in Public Places program, Arts and the Disabled, annual Performing and Visual Arts Festival, contract compliance, civic design, and minority set-aside committee work. And I am a sole proprietor of Education Small Business since 1987.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Michael. Why do you want to serve on the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Commission?
I'd like to bring expertise, as may be needed, to any arts programming, events, educational activities, displays, facilities, or city-owned artifacts as a way of giving something back to this wonderful community.
Thank you.
Great. Michael, what do you think the issues that face the Parks and Rec and Cultural Arts, what's the most significant issue?
Well, possibly to offer a balance of art for interested parents and children and the city in a community that is heavily sports and recreation oriented. I'm especially committed to making sure that this constituency has an opportunity and enhancement, particularly artists and the children, and possibly uniformed military personnel and veterans.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming tonight. What do you feel is the role of the Parks Commission in Los Alamitos?
Well, in the case of fine arts, to advise and assist the city and people of Los Alamitos on programming, facilities, and events related to that.
Thank you.
Great. Michael, it's very nice to meet you. It's good to see a fresh face. When considering actions by Parks, Rec, and Cultural Arts Commission, how do you balance the best interests of the entire community against the likes or dislikes of yourself, your friends, and your neighbors?
My professional motto is service above self in every aspect, and my entire career has kept that mission uppermost.
Great. Thank you.
Great answer. Anything you'd like to say in closing?
No,
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight.
you're welcome.
Can I ask one other question?
Absolutely.
Are you a Rotarian?
Pardon?
Are you a Rotarian?
I didn't hear.
Are you a Rotarian?
In fact, I am.
Yeah, either that or you stole their logo or their motto. Yeah, service before self. I got that.
All right. Next, we have Pedro Carvajal.
Pedro.
Welcome, Pedro or Pete.
Pete.
That's the first time I've seen it that way, so I thought
Oh,
maybe
really?
specifically, yeah. All right. Well, welcome. Do you have any opening statements for tonight?
I don't.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and move on. Dean, first question.
Good evening and welcome. What special traits, characteristics, or experience do you bring to the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Commission?
I don't know if I would define them as special, but I definitely feel that my years of experience with youth sports, I know that most people think it's just AYSO soccer, but I've coached softball, I've coached Little League both at Los Alamitos and at St. Hedwig's. Very involved with school site council at Rossmore when my children were going there. And so I think that that involvement with the youth of the community gives me a special kind of outlook on what's best and what serves them as it relates to parks and recreation. I hadn't really thought about it because a lot of time we do give cultural arts the short shift when it comes to some of the things that we discuss in the commission. I've been here long enough that I remember that cultural arts used to be its own commission at one point, and it was folded into Parks and Rec. But I'm a great lover of the arts, enjoy the arts. Nothing better than to spend a day at a museum, go up to the Getty with my wife, and a great lover of music. And I think anything that we could do to enhance that would be great. And so, as far as special traits, I guess that and my enthusiasm for serving the community, I think. So.
Thank you very much.
Warren?
Hi, Pete. Why do you want to serve on the Parks, Rec, and Cultural Arts Commission?
I've been asked to serve in other capacities. I've been asked why I haven't decided to run for office or in other capacities. And one of the reasons, the main reason I choose that is that I also kind of know my own limits and my own, and I know that right now, currently, I'm in a very challenging position. I was promoted to a new position recently, and I know that my time doesn't afford me to serve to the length that, say, a city council person or somebody on the Board of Education would serve. I think that Parks and Rec serves me well from the standpoint that it's a meeting a month, and And a lot of the great activities that we get to do happen on weekends, be it Race on the Base, be it, the 4th of July, which happens on a holiday, or some of the things that we do for Easter and Halloween. We've done a lot of great things, and it affords me the ability to do that. And it is a passion of mine, I think. Any one of you who've spent any more than 10 minutes at a get-together with me know that, I'm going to twist your arm about the condition of the fields and the parks for our kids. It is a passion of mine. It's a bit of a selfish passion from the standpoint that I realize that what's best for our kids. One of the main reasons that our property values do as well as they do is because of the school district we live in. It's because of the type of community that we live in, where kids are a big priority. And so I realize that it's helpful to my property values as well, so that's why I choose Parks and Recreation and Cultural Arts. So.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, what do you think is the most significant issue facing the Parks and Recs and Cultural Art Commission?
I think it continues to be, and will continue to be for the foreseeable future, the condition of the playing spaces for our children. We need to work a great deal in collaboration with the school district, the different organizations, the youth groups, to try and improve on those. I'm finally seeing some movement towards that. I think the Capital Improvement Fund that has been put together is a great step in the right direction now that they're taking the input from the youth groups. But I think that's still going to be the greatest challenge. I think the greatest challenge faced by any community today is how we get the kids away from their iPads and computer games and get them outside playing. I know it benefited my children greatly. I know it benefited me as an adult, helping coach these kids greatly, and I think it brings a great value to the entire community.
I agree. Thank you. Richard?
Hi, Pete. What do you feel is the role of the Parks Commission in Los Alamitos?
I take this one very seriously. I think that the role of any commissioner is to advise the council, is a citizen advisory commission to you. We serve at your pleasure, and if we aren't meeting the requirements of what you expect us to do, we don't serve you well. So it's to bring the voice of the community, the voice of your neighbors, give you that point of view, so that when you do have to decide on something that might be somewhat challenging or somewhat controversial, you have a group of people on a commission that will give you their voice, that will tell you what the community feels like, to represent the community in advisory role to you.
Thank you.
Hi, Pete. Thanks again for your service. Really appreciate it. When considering actions about fireworks, oh no, never mind. When considering actions about parks and
Can we
recreation.
consider the Trojan horse one more?
Yeah, we need the Trojan horse.
I passed the chance to ask his feeling on the role of surveys in the city, so.
Yeah, bunch of loaded questions here. Someone needed to break the ice. When considering the actions by Parks and Rec, how do you balance the best interests of the entire community against the likes, dislikes with your friends and neighbors?
I think the gentleman said it well. I think that I do very much try to look at what's best for the community as a whole. I could give you, I think the best example was, I think this happened about 10 or 15 years ago when they decided to put medians on Bradbury and Rossmore Way. The medians in that going into the Rossmore Highlands. I could tell you that 95% of the community was in favor of those medians because it was going to help beautify the entrance into the neighborhood. The medians basically blocked the entrance to two people's driveways, my own and my neighbor across the street. And I remember going across the street to talk to him, and initially he was against it. I told him, Brent, this is going to help beautify the neighborhood. I said, we could make a U-turn, you can make a left turn, we could still get into our homes. And he came around to our way of thinking, to my way of thinking, which was, what? It's going to beautify the neighborhood. It's going to beautify the entrance into the neighborhood. It's going to help all of our property values. You know what? It is a little bit of an inconvenience that I've got to go around the corner a bit to get into my house now versus turning left into it the way I used to when I first purchased the house. But there's a value to that. There's a value to the community that outweighs the value to the self. I've always believed that. I believe that specifically as it relates to my position on Parks and Recreation, is what's best for the groups, what's best for the kids, is what's best for the community overall.
Great, thanks, Pete.
Any closing statement?
No, other than I appreciate your trust and confidence in serving to this date. I appreciate the trust and confidence of the commission. They voted me to chair it this last year. And if you choose to continue to allow me to serve, I appreciate that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming tonight. All right, we'll move on to Julie Decker. Welcome, Julie.
Hi.
I'll ask you the same question. Do you have anything to say to the council to start off?
No, I'll just start off.
Great. All right, so we'll start with Dean.
Good evening, welcome.
Hi.
What special traits, characteristics, or experience do you bring to the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Commission?
Well, I have a background in ornamental horticulture, and although I have worked in the past in several garden centers in Southern California, probably about a total of 13 years, not recently, but I have a good knowledge of ornamental plants, but I also have a healthy interest in having good soil practices and integrated pest management as well. And I'm also a past certified California nursery person.
All right. Warren?
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Why do you want to serve on the Parks and Rec and Cultural Arts Commission?
Mostly, I just want to be more active in my community. I've been living in LaSalle since 2002, and I've never been part of any kind of commission or city council meeting. And my kids are now not little, so I have the time to commit to the commission. And I love outdoor spaces in general, and I love public spaces, and I really want to be more involved in this Los Alamitos community.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for coming tonight.
You're welcome.
What do you think the issues are that are most significant facing the Park, Rec, and Cultural Art Commission?
Well, coming from a horticulture background, what I see is water conservation. We're in a serious drought, and we need to either maintain good water conservation practices or have them if we're not doing that already. And also, using least toxic methods of pest control. And again, if we're not doing that, we need to be doing that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Richard?
Hi, thank you for coming tonight. What do you feel is the role of the Parks Commission in Los Alamitos?
I think it's to work between the public and the city council, whether it's giving the city council recommendations or advice on events or park issues, or sometimes even complaints from citizens, to work in between the public and the city council.
Thank you.
Julie, very nice to meet you. Again, thank you for stepping up and applying. When considering the actions by the Parks and Recreation Cultural Commission, how do you balance the best interests of your entire community against your personal likes and dislikes?
I think you just have to do what's best for the community at large, and you got to do what benefits the most people, but also take in mind what impact it might have on individuals as well.
Thank you.
Great. Any closing statement?
Just thank you for this opportunity, and I hope you give me the opportunity to help work in Los Alamitos as a commission person.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on. We've already spoken with Alice, so Samuel Manning. Good evening, Samuel.
Good evening.
Any opening statement?
I'd like to thank the council people who have been on for allowing me to serve in this position, and also by extension the community.
Great, thank you. Dean, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Thanks very much for coming in, Sam, we appreciate it. What special traits, characteristics, or experience do you bring to Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Commission?
Thanks, Rich, I appreciate it.
I've been on the commission, of course, since 2009. I was by far the youngest commissioner at the time. I'm not sure if that'll be the case for much longer, but despite my youth, I have been serving for a while. Due to the kind of high turnover rate we've had in Parks and Rec lately, it kind of makes me one of the more veteran members there. So I have a very well-grounded understanding of our civic system here. That also helps the fact that I was a political science major in college. And I got my degree back in 2012, which seems like a long time ago. I currently work in workers' compensation, and if you know California workers' compensation code, you know it's very confusing, very complicated in many ways, and so I bring a very strong amount of critical thinking and a lot of detailed observations that I think that I can bring to the commission.
Thanks very much.
Samuel, good evening. Why do you want to serve on the commission?
I think I have an obligation to give back to the community. I am a product of this city. We moved here in '94, and I grew up through the whole school system. I was here for pretty much all my life, and I'm still here. That may not be the case for much longer. I plan on getting married in June.
Congratulations.
But if I do stick around here, you know, I want my family to have the best parks possible. So I think I have a personal interest invested there. And I've recently met our newest commissioners, and I'm really excited for the opportunity with them. And I've seen the other applicants we have, and I'm very excited to work with them too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 3. What do you think is or are the most significant issues facing the Parks, Recs, and Cultural Arts Commission?
I have a few. First of all, water, which is ironic given the rain we've had lately, but we all know that it's not even close to enough. I'm not optimistic at all about a good winter rain season. So I think there will be some hard decisions to be made concerning our fields, our parks, where are we going to cut water, and how do we solve this in the short term, and then how do we proceed in long term so that these cuts won't be as major or severe in the future. Also, a continued coordination with the school district is a must. We would be kidding ourselves if we didn't say that the school district is the backbone of this community. It's a great school district. People come here just for the school district, and we need to work with that and see what we can do. And also to work with the outside recreation groups that come in and also serve to them, both with programming and with use of facilities.
Great, thank you. Richard?
Sam, thank you for your service, and, you know, you did know if you kept serving long enough, the kid label would have to get passed on to somebody else. What do you feel is the role of the Parks Commission in Los Alamitos?
I think it's very simple, to, of course, represent the interests of the people of the community, and then to advise the city council according to those interests.
Thank you.
Sam, very good to see you again. Thanks for your service. When considering the actions of the Parks and Recreation Cultural Arts Commission, how do you balance the interests of the community against your own personal likes and dislikes?
I think it's a kind of a three-step process that I would go through. First, to be open to every voice in the community, let everyone have their say. Then to consider each, think about them, and then to, based on those, to act as objectively as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Any closing statement?
I think that'll do it for me.
Okay, great. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have, well, I guess we'll move on. We have Elliot, but Elliot's already interviewed. So we'll move on to planning commissioners, and first up is Will Daniels. Good evening, Will. Any opening statement?
No.
All right, thank you. We'll start with Dean.
Is this a yes and no response for tonight?
We like this guy.
No. Okay. I will. What special traits, characteristics, or experience do you bring to the Planning Commission?
Well, my trait is I probably like to stir the pot more than how I need to. Characteristics, I'm extremely opinionated on what I, kind of see and what I think needs to be done. Experience-wise, I've lived here about 22 years and been on a commission, probably 16 of them, starting with Parks and Rec and moving on to planning.
Thank you.
Evening, Will. Why do you want to serve on the Planning Commission?
Well, all these people are saying, but really, you can make a difference. What you do here in the city, you really can see it. It's a small city. It's a great place to live, and you can see your actions, and you can see the stuff that you did well, and you can see the stuff that you didn't do well. So it really is a kind of city where you can make a difference.
Thank you.
Great answer. Number 3, what do you think is or are the most significant issues facing the Planning Commission?
Well, we've spent a lot of time recently on the general plan, so I imagine that's a major one. But I really think it's, trying to get this city to have some kind of image architecturally, to not have all these different styles all over, to try to make it look like it's got some balance when it comes to architecture. That's kind of my thing as I look at more of the aesthetics and architecture, and that's kind of what I bring a little bit more to the commission. So that's what I'd like to see, is just have some plan that we're going to follow as far as what the architecture is like in the city.
Great, thank you. Richard?
Hey, Will, thank you for your 17 years on the various commissions.
I don't know if that's really.
What do you feel is the role of the Planning Commission going forward?
Well, it really is to advise you and to provide you the information that you need to make the decisions you need to make. But I also think it's to challenge you, to make you think outside the box, and to make you make those tough decisions. You know, your next question is, you know, how do you balance, you know, the my opinion versus everybody's opinion. You know, when that comes up, when you have to make that decision, then you know you're making an important decision for the city. Because if you make an important decision, you're not going to keep everybody happy. You're going to make some people upset, but that's an issue that's important. So that's you have to balance that. But when you get something like that, then you know that it's not just some little thing, that you're really affecting people.
Thank you.
Great. Will, thank you for your service, and I think we got a twofer out of that one, so I don't need to ask my question. It was pretty much answered there. Thank you.
Great. Any closing comments?
Yeah, a question and a comment. How many are you interviewing tonight? For everything?
Let's see.
11 or 12, I believe.
And
No, I
how
think it's
many
more than
people
that.
have never been on a commission before? How many are first-timers?
I think about 3 or 4.
Okay.
Is that right, Wendy? Or is there more?
So one of your jobs, and I always challenge you guys, is you've got to get more fresh blood. You've had 2 people interview tonight, and they can bring a new, they bring more excitement. You know, excuse me, but, you know, you got a lot of old farts like me that are just retreads. Now, you need to have those people, you need to have a balance, but you've got to get more young, not so much young age, but they haven't done it before. You got to get that excitement. So I challenge you to do that. I know it's not easy, but that's really something you need to try to get, you know, those people that have been here, the young man back there. That's what you want.
Perfect, thank you. All right, next up we have Jason Seaman. Welcome, Jason.
There's the first example, right?
Do you have any opening statements?
No, I'd just like to.
Okay, great. So we'll start with Dean first.
Good evening, Jason.
Good evening.
I think you applied for 2 potential. Did you have a preference on one or the other?
No, sir, just one or the other.
Okay. What special traits, characteristics, or experience would you bring to the Planning and/or Traffic Commission?
So as far as characteristics, I believe in government as a service organization, and services can and should be intelligently and deliberately designed to deliver maximum value to customers or the community. And this is, I think, my characteristic, that I can bring some value to the commissions in this way. Experience-wise, my professional background is in strategic planning, process improvement, and product development. And I have experience in creating and fostering a unified direction where focus is always on the customer and the community, where policy deployment has to be harmonized between, diverse stakeholders whose goals are frequently conflicting, and in an environment of limited resources and need for continuing string of options. So the corporate world is very much where I grew up. Just as a side note, I left the corporate world, started my own business last year here in Los Alamitos doing management consulting, and enjoy being a 9-year resident and now a business owner in the community.
Thank you.
Good evening, Jason. So why do you want to serve on the Planning and/or Traffic Commission?
So I want to serve the community. As I said, the recent change to budding entrepreneur is allowed me some extra time, and I'd like to be able to use that to give back to the community in some meaningful fashion. I'd also like to help realize the future vision for Los Alamitos. There's been a lot of hard work and deep discussion on the general plan and the 2035 plan, and I like the direction, and I want to be part of helping make that happen.
Thank you.
Welcome again. What do you think is or are the most significant issues facing the Planning Commission and the Traffic Commission? And you can take them in whatever order you
Certainly.
prefer.
So the Planning Commission, probably the downtown development is going to be the top priority there. There's a lot of underlying things that need to be considered there. Second is probably the zoning and land use agreements. We have, businesses and different types of businesses, different types of usage within the community that seems to be overlapping. It's kind of helter-skelter right now, and those are the big ones for planning. As far as traffic, probably parking is going to be the hot button there. For parking, not only the planning, but also the the enforcement, the costs, the powder keg that's public image of parking, and number two, probably the big one from the general plan is the alternative transit systems. I mean, how do we move from how do we move away from cars in the community and help encourage other forms of transportation?
Great. Thank you so much. Richard?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for coming tonight. What do you feel is the role of the Planning Commission first and then the Traffic Commission second, please?
Certainly. So both commissions obviously work together with city staff and specialists to gather information from the community and make recommendations to city council. So specifically, planning makes recommendations on implementation of the general plan, the zoning ordinances, and reviews of development proposals. Traffic reviews complaints, requests, and suggestions on traffic safety. And makes recommendations, obviously, to City Council as well. In my own words, I'd say that this is somewhere between kind of advisory committee and voice of the customer, voice of the community kind of role.
Thank you.
Great. Hi, Jason. Have we interviewed you before for anything else? Okay, well, it's very nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Good to see a new face. When considering the actions and planning, by considering the actions by the Planning and Traffic Commissions, how do you balance the best interests of the entire community with your own personal likes or dislikes?
This is my favorite question out of all of them. I think this gets right to the heart of everything. First, I think you have to put the community first. I mean, that's the kind of role, the purpose of having a government. As far as how to do it, the main thing is you have to be fair and transparent and consistent in any sort of decision-making. So going out, including the community, and basing the decision off of a clearly stated, publicly debated plan, like the general plan is. When the community can see that the decisions are made in line with this vision and these values, then I think it makes things a lot easier to do. Sure.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any closing comments?
No, just want to thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. All right, moving on for the final interview for Planning Commission is Victor Solfakanik. Welcome, Victor. Do you have any opening statements?
Just thanks for the opportunity.
All right, great. Dean, we'll start with you.
Hi, Victor, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. What special traits, characteristics, or experience do you bring to the Planning Commission?
Well, I've been on the commission for 14 years, chaired the commission a number of times. I'm not quite sure how many. I'm an active member of the California Bar. As an attorney, I'm familiar with the relevant codes that the commission deals with, the Planning Commission, the zoning codes, and other relevant codes. I'm familiar with Robert's Rules of Order, so I'm able to chair the commission effectively.
Okay, thank you.
Evening, Victor. Why do you want to serve on the Planning Commission?
Well, again, I've been on for 14 years. I want to be in a position to have a voice in the direction of the city, to be engaged in decisions that affect the city. I feel that the best way, the best place in order to do that, other than sitting as a council member, is the Planning Commission. So that's why
Thank you.
I want to be on it.
Great. Question number 3, what do you think is or are the most significant issues facing the Planning Commission?
I think be the formulating and implementing the general plan, looking into the future, with issues involving the base, the industrial zone, and revenue-generating areas.
Great, thank you. Richard?
Victor, thank you for all your service.
Thank you.
What do you feel is the role of the Planning Commission, especially going forward?
Well, again, as I mentioned in the prior question, the general plan, formulating general plan, assisting planning department in doing so. But I think what we do as commissioners is we review the staff reports regarding the various applications. We visit the sites. We conduct public hearings. We listen to the public. We apply the law. We question staff. We question the applicants, and then we come up with the recommendation for the council.
Thank you.
Hi, Vic. How you doing this evening?
I'm well, thank you.
Again, thank you for your service, and I would also say that I reread everything that you guys do in the Planning Commission, and I would say that you definitely have had a significant impact on the Planning Commission, especially through the general plan, so thank you.
Thank you for saying that.
When considering the actions by the Planning Commission, how do you balance the best interests of the entire community against the likes or dislikes of yourself or your neighbors?
Well, as a planning commissioner, you're here to serve the community. You're here to try to put the city in a direction that's going to improve the quality of life of the citizens and be headed in the right direction in the future. With regard to myself, the likes, my desires, my likes, if it's a project which is what's in a certain area or closest to my house, I have to recuse myself. But other than that, my likes, my dislikes, my friends, my neighbors, it's not relevant. I mean, we need to take the applicant, we need to take the application, apply the law, and make the best decision. And, with regard to friends and family, you just have to educate them, let them know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and that I hope they understand.
Thank you.
Great, any closing comments?
No, thank you.
All right, thanks again for coming. All right, moving on to traffic commissioners. First, we have Dave Emerson. Welcome. Do you have any opening statements, Dave?
Yeah, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you. All right, so no opening statement? Do you have an
That's
opening?
it.
That's it? Okay, great. Dean?
Hi, Dave. Welcome. What special traits, characteristics, or experience do you bring to the Traffic Commission?
Well, I found I'm a pretty good fit over the last 3 years. I'm pretty passionate about our town. I'm pretty passionate about two things, safety and smooth-flowing traffic. And that happens to be two important issues for our town. It's the right amount of time for me. I decided I could never do what you guys are doing. God bless you for doing it. I'd either go to sleep or freak out after, if not 5 hours, 7 hours. So thank you. But Traffic Commission, we're in and out 2-3 hours once a month, and a few hours of prep and a few hours of other things. It works well, and I feel like I've been able to help the town and help you folks, hopefully.
Thank you.
Evening, Dave. So why do you want to serve on the Traffic Commission?
Like I said, it's a good fit. It's a way to help my community. I feel like we've got a lot of things accomplished over the last 3 years, and I love the people I work with there, staff, commissioners, everyone, and community members that come in to speak to us, and of course you folks who are critical. And I can't say how impressed I've been over the last 3 years about you guys' support for the commission, your use of the commission, every one of you.
Thank you.
All right.
That's enough.
Number 3, what do you think is or are the most significant issues facing the Traffic Commission?
Where to start? Catella and Los Al Boulevard are gridlocked at rush hour now. Imagine what happens when the 405 freeway adds 2 lanes that stop at the 605 and bottleneck at Los Al Boulevard. Imagine what happens when the hospital builds a second hospital and another medical office building. Imagine what happens if the base is bracked out and we have 5,000 people wanting to put in hundreds of apartment units there. Imagine what happens if the Seal Beach Naval Weapons Depot is built out or bracked out, and who knows what's put there, but anybody who lives there is probably going to have to drive to LoSal for middle school and high school. The flip side of that is, when it's not gridlocked, we got trucks going 45, 50 miles an hour, T-boning people. We have a death every few years, from bicyclists to motorists. And thank God, I don't think we've had any kids hit yet, thanks to our great crossing guards. So you've got, it's either jammed or it's hazardous. As a bicyclist, I drive to the bikeway and park my car. I don't ever attempt, I did when I was younger, and if I become suicidal, but I don't ever attempt to drive from my house to the bike, to ride my bike from my house to the bikeway. And that's a shame, because we've got a great bikeway. I think there's things we can do about that.
Thank you very much. Richard?
Hi, Dave. Thank you for your service. What do you feel is the role of the Traffic Commission in our city?
I think we strive to be your citizen experts on traffic, to help you folks to pre-address issues, to deal with the garbage and the hearings and the minutia from parking in front of my store or his store and so on, to helping you get a sense of direction. And working with the staff, we're your experts, and working together, we hopefully don't just keep our streets safe and flowing sometimes, but make them better.
Thank you.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for your service. When considering the actions of the Traffic Commission, how do you balance the best interests of the entire community against your personal likes and dislikes and likes of your neighbors?
Well, the real issue is trying to meet as best as possible everyone's concerns and look for win-win solutions. That's what I always try to do. But sometimes those are hard to find, and you need to look for what's best for the community. Because I, just like you five, we're here to represent our neighbors, our businesses, residents throughout the town, not just ourselves. And if we all try to do what's best for the community, we end up with the best possible result. And the other commissioners help me to do that, obviously. We've got a good group there, and I'm sure we'll have a good group moving forward.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any closing comments?
Again, this year for Thanksgiving, I tried to think of different things to be thankful for each of the 10 days leading up to Thanksgiving. And one day, it was city staff and city council members. And I thought of specific things for each one of you that I'm thankful for. So a big heartfelt thank you from me to you, to our city staff. You guys have been great. I've grown a lot during my years on the Traffic Commission. I've learned a lot. I hope to have 3 more years to finish. There's so many things we're in the middle of, from the master plan to the parking situation, and I made a list of 8 things. I'd like to finish what we've started and to work together to do that. But you've got some good applicants here, and that's great. And that's the other thing, is just a thank you to everyone who's applied. I read every application, and we've got some great new people applying, and we've got some great experienced people. It's a great group, and I think we've got a lot to be thankful for in this town.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Moving on to next interviewee, Thomas Lindsay. Wendy? Okay. Well, we can go on to Joel Rojas if we need to.
Had a prior engagement.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if he made it or not. I know. Okay.
He's not here yet.
Joel submitted answers to the questions. He had a family event that he needed to attend, so each of the council members got a copy of that. And why don't we go on? I don't see Johanna in here.
She's out of town also.
She's out of town.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't get that. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll wait for Mr. Lindsay. Do you want to take a 5-minute break? Sure. Okay. Is everybody ready? We're going to reconvene. All right, we're reconvening the meeting, and for Traffic Commission, we had Dave Emerson interview. Mr. Lindsay had to step away. We're not sure exactly what the situation is. Mr. Rojas has submitted questions, and there are copies in the back for any of you who'd like to review his answer. There seems to have been some confusion with current member for the Traffic Commission, Johanna Schluter. She is not here tonight, but is open for an interview. And then we also had Mr. Seaman, who interviewed under another commission. So, with all of that being said, are we ready to vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to just share some information from the standpoint, because I think it's important as we look, and we've got some applicants where we have the opportunity to make some decisions. I asked the staff to come back to us in terms of attendance, and I found some of this to be kind of interesting. For the Cable Commission, this was only for those that are incumbents. For the Cable Commission, from what I can tell, they had 3 meetings in 2013 and 7 meetings in 2014, so a total of 10 meetings. Mr. Clayton, as an incumbent, missed 4 of those meetings. And I was also, and I believe the city manager can verify it, at one meeting he was there and got up and walked out in the middle of the meeting, more or less in frustration. So just so that you're aware from the standpoint of participants. On Parks and Recreation, from what I can tell, they had 9 meetings in 2013, 11 meetings in 2014, a total of 20 meetings. Mr. Carvajal missed no meetings. Samuel Manning missed 1 meeting. So I don't think attendance is an issue on them. On Planning Commission, they had 14 meetings in 2013, 12 meetings so far in 2014, a total of 26. Mr. Daniel, as an incumbent, missed 5 meetings. And Mr. Solfatanic, as an incumbent, missed 8 meetings. So almost a third of, or a fourth of the meetings were missed, and Dean Hill had applied and apparently has withdrawn because he doesn't want to conflict with the incumbents, which I find is kind of an interesting feeling. You apply, but you don't want to challenge either the incumbents. So on Traffic Commission, they had 11 meetings in 2013, 10 meetings so far in 2014, a total of 21 meetings. And the incumbent there with Mr. Emerson has missed no meetings, and Johanna Schluter has missed 4 meetings. So I think, again, if they want to participate, the ability to participate should have a weight to a certain degree on decisions that are made in terms of appointment and or reappointment. So, thank you.
All right,
Get a
well, one thing.
clarification, Mayor. What's
Yes.
the difference between an excused or unexcused? I noticed with Alice, she was excused. I mean, you know, we got to be careful holding the glass a little too far out there. I mean, we miss meetings too. I know I travel a lot for my job, so I try to call in and let you know there's a proper way to do that. I just want to make sure that this is held in the right light.
And, yes, so the difference between an excused and an excused is, like you said, staff is notified in advance, and it's recorded for the record on the minutes that staff was notified. Unexcused is when staff was unaware that they were
And they
not
just
going
don't
to
show up.
Right.
Okay. So these are verified as excused and unexcused, and so Alice is the only one that called in advance if I looked at this. Okay.
I believe some of the planning commissioners had too, but they hadn't clarified which ones were excused and unexcused.
Well, what we maybe need to do moving forward is take a couple of things into consideration. We've had a lot of extra meetings for all of these commissions this year, which people had not mapped out in their schedules. They're giving their time, and we've kind of, by not wanting to pay to have a company do our general plan, we've done it in-house, and I think that increased the expectation of their time significantly. So if there's an issue with excused or unexcused, I think maybe all we need to do is make sure that the commissioners are aware that if you're not going to be here and you know ahead of time, please give us a call. That way we can note it for the record. I believe that these people are all adults and professionals, and sometimes things get in the way. So with that, we'll go ahead and if you could distribute the ballots, Richard,
Are the ballots going to show
the options.
Elliott Singer for both or just for one?
And we'll show each applicant for all the commissions they applied for.
Okay. But he did state a preference for cable, while Alice did state a
Right.
preference for parks. Okay.
And do we have to, I mean, we had a lot of openings, but, I mean, do we have to vote up to the number or less? Doesn't matter. I mean, if we just say, hey, there's 2 qualified candidates in that pool for 5 open jobs, we just vote for the 2, that's appropriate?
Correct. You can vote up to the maximum amount, you just can't vote more than that. You can vote less if you prefer.
Okay.
You're not in Chicago.
And then we also
Yeah,
have,
that was Chicago.
for Cable Commission and Parks and Rec Commission, terms that end at different times. So if you could, there's boxes on here, if you could specify which term you would like each applicant to.
Thank you.
Does it say that on the ballot?
Yes.
Wendy, is that going to complicate things if we, if one says, well, we want this one for the 2-year term, and this one for the 3-year term? Does that mean that we have to go back and forth? Because what I'm thinking is maybe what we do is we vote first, and then we decide, based on who gets appointed, which term they get?
Yeah, either
I mean,
way.
what do you think about that, guys? I just don't want us to confuse that somebody says, okay, the December 2016, I give that to ABC, and then, you know, we have conflicts on the other. So if you don't mind, let's go ahead and vote on the positions first, and then we can go back and vote on the term. Okay. Excuse me. And you want our names on these, Wendy? Do we
It's up to you.
Okay.
Could you play the Jeopardy music for us?
I'm gonna
You
get
guys
it for
want to
next
put your
time.
name on them,
I
just
did-
for the
I did,
purpose
yeah.
of when we bring them back for the terms? Anyone? Initials? Put your initials on, so when we bring them back for the terms, we can do that. Would you do?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Sure?
I think so. Pretty confident.
We're gonna have you guys do a tally together, because there's a lot of information.
Get Brett a gun, you could be the chief.
Yeah.
Only 4 ballots, who's holding out?
Oh, yeah. I've got some from high school. Now, don't you, I would like to sign them, or be large to do these. Oh, no, that's your.
I'm at the Sands Operations Committee.
I already told you that's,
Huh?
I told you that's really important stuff.
Yeah.
And what's it for, Troy?
They did a bunch of design work for Costa, or for St. Isidore. They did like 16 projects in a class in architecture. They want to help the city hall redesign if that happens, so I'm trying to get them to get involved with the city. So I want to recognize them so that they've asked if they can start working, you know, maybe with the planning commission someday.
Makes perfect sense. Right, I have the worst problems with stuff. I think Richard would pick up my phone, because my phone's
Come on, way up here. Some days it just never goes your way. That's the,
I have a ton of them.
trips are free for kids.
This one just didn't work.
Just come every once in a while.
It's weird
You
because it
have
did, let's see,
information.
it does, and then it doesn't. Because I pick them up and then go like that, and it works on there.
Try that one.
Okay.
Oh, I got that one from, what's it
Didn't
say?
you give me this one to try?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's, this is the other one.
Where's that from? I don't remember.
This is Ralph Anderson and Associates. Is that special?
The ones that,
Just lawyers.
no, this one is the recruiting.
What you do with me, I have no
Do all
idea.
that, public safety.
We stayed there. A friend was a host.
You get trinkets from the recruiting program.
Hey, did you get any of the coins made? Any of the coins made?
First night in the Chico.
Are you going to? I'd like to do it with you so I can get a couple before.
I said, hey, there was a problem with our door.
There's a minimum of 50.
Okay, and how much are they a piece?
It'd be about $7.
Okay.
That's about 300.
How much are you
Well,
looking
let's
to?
take the room, it doesn't matter. They'd already wanted it, she walked in, she wanted to talk with me. Same thing when we went in Jamaica.
Because look at doing a generic one, it doesn't have the names on it.
We come in their room and she goes, I don't want to leave it. They have 5 days. I don't ever want to leave. We got what ocean views, the water's crystal clear. That's a
So, okay, we're ready. All right, when do you feel, go ahead and give us the results.
And we take it one commission at a time.
Yes, please. And let's start with Cable Commission, please.
Cable Commission, we had 4 positions available.
4 or 3?
Well, 3 regular, 1 student.
Right.
I got you.
So we had 3 indications of support for Steve Clayton, 5 indications of support for Elliot Singer, 1 for Alice Jemsa, and 5 for Reed Ellison as the student.
Okay, great. So we have then, Mr. Ellison is our new student representative, and Mr. Singer and Mr. Clayton both have been appointed to that board. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, great. Congratulations if you're in the audience. Okay, moving on to Parks and Rec.
Can we clarify the terms?
Oh,
Can we-
well, why don't you let us go through, and then we'll take those back and we'll go through the terms. How's that?
Oh, okay.
Is that easy, or is it more difficult for you?
I would suggest we just, whoever got the most votes gets the longest term.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I'll accept that. So Steve Clayton and Elliot Singer will have terms expiring December 2017, and the student position only allows for 1 year, so Reed Ellison will be appointed until December 2015.
You want to double check that because I believe what you had provided in the emails that kept going back and forth is that it's a 3-year term on the student.
Oh, I did double check it in the charter, and it said 1.
Oh, it's a 1 year at a time?
That doesn't mean, Reed, you can't keep applying. Okay, if you like it and you want to come back, we welcome your interest. Okay. Okay, great. That's a great idea, Richard. Thank you. Moving on to Parks and Rec.
Okay, Parks and Rec, we had 5 positions, and 4 indications of support for Michael Bell, 5 indications for Pete Carvajal, 4 for Julie Decker, 4 for Alice Jemsa, and 5 for Samuel Manning.
Okay, great. And so, do the terms match up for the,
We can, Samuel Manning would be December 2017, Pete Carvajal would be December 2017, and then Julie Decker, Alice Jemsa, and Michael Bell both got 4, and I need 1 more for 2017, so.
okay, so who would we like to give the opportunity to serve for longer? Michael, Julie, or Alice?
I would suggest Michael,
All right.
because
I'll
I think he
second that.
brings a totally different
Perspective.
vision and
Right.
perspective to the commission.
Okay, I second that. Is there support for that?
That's fine.
Okay, so we're good with that, Wendy.
Okay, so Michael Bell, Pete Carvajal, and Samuel Manning will have terms expiring December 2017. Julie Decker and Alice Jemsa will have terms expiring December 2016.
Great. Congratulations to all of you. All right, let's move on to the Planning Commission.
Planning Commission, there were 4 indications of support for Will Daniel, 2 for Jason Seaman, and 4 for Victor Solfolcanic.
Okay, great. And Wendy, the terms on those, are they both ending in the same year?
Yes, December 2017.
Great, all right. Congratulations to both of you. Moving on to Traffic Commission, we have Dave Emerson, Thomas Lindsay, Joel Rojas, Joanna Schluter, and Jason Seaman.
This was 3 positions. All terms will end December 2017. We have Dave Emerson with 4 indications of support, Thomas Lindsay with 4, Joel Rojas with 1, Johanna Schluter with 1, and Jason Seaman with 4.
Okay, so then that's Dave Emerson, Thomas Lindsay, and Jason Seaman.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay, great. Well, congratulations to those of you, if you're in the audience, welcome. And,
Mayor, if I may, just for finalizing purposes, can we get a motion in a second for
Okay.
the majority votes?
all right. So we'll, I'll entertain a motion, and we'll do it as a whole. Correct, Wendy?
I'll make a motion for the approval of that slate.
Okay, second, all right, second. Is this a roll call, Wendy? No. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? All right.
I think Mr. Rojas has joined us. Is that correct? Yeah. Well, congratulations.
No.
No.
No, not congratulations. Okay.
I wish.
So there were three on the Traffic Commission.
Correct.
Yes. But I would encourage you, Mr. Rojas, there's openings that happen throughout the upcoming year and after that. Wendy, when's our first available?
I believe it's the middle of next year.
Middle of next year. We always love to have new people be involved. We apologize for the inconvenient time. We know you had to go with your daughter, and that's absolutely the best thing to do.
Filled up on all commissions.
No, why don't we?
Yeah, wait,
We're full.
oh, we aren't full.
No, we're not. We're not full on
Not in the
cable.
cable.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, we had the
We
one
still have
before.
one
One
opening
position
on
on
cable.
cable.
All right, so,
We're going to take,
okay, so now then, should we do this again? Because I would like to give, Johanna could not be here, and Joel is just getting here, those two opportunities to interview before we place the person on the Cable Commission.
we can do that, Mayor, or just as a alternative is maybe we take one more slate for the people that were open, since we have one more seat, put them all on a slate, and we take another vote and see if we can find an opportunity to put them on our one open seat on the Cable Commission.
Okay, Mr. Rojas, would you be interested, we do have one slot open for the Cable Commission. Is, when do they meet? That's a good
That's
question.
Thursday at 4, third Thursday? Yeah, at 4 p.m.
That may change.
Yeah, what is your availability, just out of curiosity, because I know that the time frame has been discussed. It's hard for many people to get here that early in the day. Brett, can you elaborate on that?
There actually is going to be an agenda item at the next week's Cable Commission meeting to discuss the potential for making it a later meeting once a month. So that's going to be on the agenda.
Okay, do we have a recommendation for time, though, so we can,
It's 7 p.m. is what they're going to
That's
consider.
what they're recommending?
That's one thing they'll consider. They're going to, the whole commission will be
Okay.
discussing it next Thursday.
okay, we have, hold on, just a question.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what the public protocol is. When are the meetings to make sure that Reed is there and on time?
Okay, that's the third.
Right now, the meetings are the third Thursday of the month at 4 p.m. However, the Cable Commission is going to discuss it at their next meeting, next Thursday at 4 p.m., discuss whether or not to consider moving it to a later time.
Thank you very much. They'll be there.
Okay, great. Mr. Rojas, is that something that's? You wouldn't be able to do it, okay. Thank you so much, and please, next time we have it out, if we can make sure that he gets a application, that'd be wonderful. All right. So, just for the public, we do have one position open for the Cable Commission, and I'm assuming that'll be addressed after the first of the year. Okay, so I encourage any of you to come forward and apply for that. I think you'd love it. Anything from the council before we end?
Yeah, I just wanted to openly invite the council members Wednesday, kind of a last-minute situation for the St. Isidore Historical Plaza. We've been working with Cal State Long Beach and their design team in the School of Architecture to put together designs in their classes for the last semester. They gave us an invitation to come over to Cal State Long Beach on this Wednesday at 6 p.m. I invited the mayor to come over and give the certificate of recognition, but what I'm really trying to do is recognize two of the professors that have been helpful. They're very interested in also getting to know Steve and some of the Planning Commission, so if we ever do a City Hall Part 2, they would like to give design ideas. The other thing is I just wanted to personally invite you all, if you can make it, at 6 p.m., and I gave the directions to Brett, and I think Stephen has been kind enough to come over there also, and maybe some of the other staff, but a great situation. There's about 16 to 24 students we're recognizing, and what I'm trying to do is give them a recognition they can put on their resume when they graduate. So, thank you.
Troy, would you be opposed to extending that invitation to the planning commissioner, since they might be working hand in hand?
Absolutely. That,
Okay.
matter of fact, when I sent it in, I said, hey, we should try and invite whoever we can. So if you can help me with that, Brett, that'd be great.
Okay, great. Anyone else, Dean? Okay, all done.
Thank you.
All right, we'll adjourn the meeting.